Welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Olson, and we've got an all-new show for you this week. We're going to spend some time in the northern Lower Peninsula, and first we'll take you out on an exciting adventure in elk country, where MSU and the DNR were working together to trap elk. Now, they were capturing them using helicopters. It's some incredible footage. You won't want to miss that story. And Jimmy and Jordan have another exciting story for us too this week.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We do have another story on this week's show, and we're going to stay in that same part of the state, the northeast part of the Lower Peninsula. There's some really interesting work being done up there, a very large white-tailed deer research program. You won't want to miss that. Make sure you stay tuned. We do have a shortened show this week because our PBS stations are in pledge, but it's jam-packed with all sorts of great stuff. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. You stay tuned. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors. Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, offering a variety of meat products. Country Smokehouse is located 3 miles south of I-69 on M53, just south of Imlay City. Country Smokehouse is a meat processor, a butcher, and a destination for sportsmen. By Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises of Munising, exploring Lake Superior's Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore with its sandstone cliffs, caves, waterfalls, and lighthouses. Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises on the web at picturedrocks.com. By Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or visit greenstonefcs.com. By Vanguard, a global manufacturer based in Michigan featuring rifle scopes, binoculars, and spotting scopes with lifetime warranties. Vanguard supplies sporting optics and accessories for the outdoor enthusiast, online at vanguardworld.com.
In the northern Lower Peninsula recently, there was a big operation happening. The DNR and MSU were working together on a project studying our elk herd here. With the help of a helicopter crew, they'd locate, net, and radio collar 20 cows and 20 bulls in the span of a couple of days. Over the years, we've used lots of footage here on the show from DNR photographer and videographer Dave Kenyon. Dave sent us this incredible footage from both his camera on the ground and the GoPro cameras of the helicopter crew. This research project will gather information related to our elk herd and the impact people have on it.
Well, this week we're initiating a project where we're trying to learn more about the interactions between elk and off-road recreational uses, in particular horseback riding and mountain biking. And so we're starting the project by capturing and instrumenting 40 elk with GPS collars. And these collars are going to allow us to quantify the elk movements or habitat selection patterns in response to these different recreational uses and the intensity of those uses. And we're hoping with that information that we can do a better job of managing elk, and we can do a better job of managing these other recreational interests that people have to explore out in this country.
Enlisted to help with the research project was a crew from Helicopter Wildlife Services out of Texas. This crew was a key part to the project. These guys are highly trained in handling not only the chopper and the net guns, but the elk as well. Chief Pilot Mike Russ explains the challenging task of net gunning elk.
In order to catch animals, what we do is we fly around in the helicopter. This is probably one of the most important tools of the trade, is the helicopter. We've got a crew, because wildlife capture is all about teamwork. You've got a pilot, you've got a mugger, which is the person that jumps out the helicopter and handles and wrangles the animal. And then we've got a net gunner, and sometimes the net gunners and muggers fulfill both positions. So we fly around, we locate some animals, and like in this area where there's lots of tall timber, we've got to push them out into open clearings, and then we swoop down on top of the animal, get right up above the animal, and then the net gunner fires the net out, goes over the animal, wads it up. Quickly land, or sometimes we can't land because of the vegetation. The net gunner or the mugger jumps out, and then he blindfolds, hobbles the animal, restrains it, and then starts to process it. So yeah, that's how we do it. Pretty challenging, it's quite exciting sometimes, dangerous occupation, but yeah, it's fun. You know, we try and do a professional job, and the objective is to get the job done, minimal mortalities. We don't want to kill anything, and we want to get good blood samples, good biological samples, you know, to make sure the project is worthwhile.
While Mike operates the helicopter, his net gunners and muggers hang out the sides of the aircraft. The muggers are the guys who jump out and subdue the trapped elk, although sometimes one man will act as both gunner and mugger, as Wes Livingston did today.
This particular net gun is built by wildlife capture equipment, and it uses a 308 wadless blank. So it's a 308 wadless blank. Pretty simple mechanism. Breaks over, put the blank in, close it. It's very safe because you have to cock the hammer to set it off. And so when we're looking at an animal, we cock the hammer. Oh, we're not going to take that shot. You can let it off. It's a very, very safe system. It has a quick canister release. So we shoot, we release that canister, put a new canister, grab it, a full canister, put it back on. We're ready to go. Open it up, put another blank. Ready to go. When you pull the trigger, the gas from the blank goes down into the manifold, and all 408s come out at the same time, projecting the net, opening the net because the angle of the barrel opens the net onto the animal. Biggest thing about net gunning is the safety. We always put the gun outside the ship before we put a blank in it. But when you're net gunning an animal, you have to look at that animal and judge its speed, where that net's going to be when it hits the animal, where the animal's going to land. It's like you running uphill, you fall down, you just fall down. You run downhill, you fall down, you roll. You have a lot of momentum, you hurt them. So we're working an animal. The pilot and the gunner usually worked enough together, they pretty much know what animal we're after. I mean, without even talking. So we locate, we pick up the animal, this is the one we want. We move it into a position where it's traveling right, so when we put a net on it, it goes down nicely and doesn't hurt it.
Let's watch as Mike chases down a bull while Wes reloads the net gun and tries to net the bull before he heads into the trees and out of range. These guys definitely enjoy their tough yet exhilarating jobs. During this process, the captured elk are not sedated, so the guys move quickly to tie up their legs and blindfold them in order to take blood samples and attach radio collars before releasing them.
So one of the ways in which we can look at elk movements and behaviors and what types of vegetation communities that they use, given the fact that not all vegetation is created equal, so to speak, for an elk perspective, is to track their movements with radio collars. And these particular collars have GPS tracking units in them, so to speak, so we can monitor their fine scale movements during seasons of the year when they're more likely to make big movements due to the distribution of seeking out certain habitat features to meet their needs, as well as when we have a lot of people up using the forest, is what's the potential influences that those people have on their distribution and behavior.
In the past, folks had a good chance of viewing our elk herd in their core area in the Pigeon River Country State Forest, but that has been slowly changing.
What we're seeing is that elk are actually using area outside the historic range more, and we think that that's reducing the viewing opportunities for the public, and viewing elk is really important in this area. It's one of the main objectives of our elk management plan. And the thought is that perhaps these other recreational uses are causing elk to move off onto private lands where they're less accessible, less visible to the public. And so we want to understand that relationship so that we can then manage the habitat in such a way that we can provide both good habitat for elk, but also provide these other recreational opportunities and have them both in the same area.
So both the DNR and MSU are hoping the information they gather from this research project will help maintain or improve elk habitat here and increase the elk viewing experience for those who enjoy watching these magnificent animals. And that's a delicate balance.
It's a challenging issue facing many wildlife species and communities, and we think looking at them simultaneously is critical because both factors, habitat quality and people, may influence what they use and how they interact with their habitat. And as we learn more about it, we hopefully can use that information to not only provide the habitat requisites they need, but also provide great opportunities for recreationalists.
It will be interesting to see what this research reveals with how our elk are using this core range in the surrounding areas and what effect that will have on our viewing opportunities moving forward. Special thanks to Dave Kenyon and the DNR for providing us with this captivating footage and a glimpse into a day in the life of the hardworking biologists who keep our wildlife flourishing here in Michigan's Out of Doors.
For our next story on this week's show, I was actually back in the deer blind for the first time in a couple of months, covering the annual Turtle Lake necropsy. The Turtle Lake Wildlife Foundation has been conducting necropsies for about the last 10 years. The goal of these necropsies is to learn about the health of the deer in the area and to better understand how to manage the deer herd. The day starts out in the field, where several sharpshooters are hoping to collectively take around 50 adult does for the study.
Well, we got a really good 1-to-1 ratio out here. We're really selective about our does. We want to make sure we're in that right age class. Try to get the 3 and the 4s, the 5s if possible. So we got some deer out in front of us. We got a doe and a fawn. We're just gonna wait a minute and make sure we got the right one for us to take. And hopefully she'll make a move here, maybe another one will come out and we'll go from there.
It's very important that shooters only take adult does and do not destroy any of the internal organs in the process. After watching this doe for over 10 minutes and confirming she was old enough, we decided to take the shot.
She puts her head up, I'm gonna take her. There she goes. Did you get it?
Yep.
Good.
Alright, doe down.
Woo! Down.
Doe down. Nice shot, nice shot.
They just, when you hit them in the neck like that, they just fall in their hoofs. It's a humane shot is what it is.
That's right.
They're not chasing them, they're not running
It's
away.
quick, it's ethical.
Quick, it's ethical. One of the things you want to do is just take your time, make sure you've got the right shot, make sure they're set up so you're gonna get a kill. The one thing you don't ever want to do is injure an animal. That's the one thing that plagues me. If I injure an animal, I'd feel terrible. If you do a good clean kill, that deer just fell like a stone, didn't feel a thing. And that's, if you're gonna hunt at all, you should hunt that way, I believe, and that's how I try to do it. I don't do it right all the time, but in this particular case, it seemed to work.
Even though this wasn't your typical deer hunt, the same ethics apply, and after successfully taking an adult doe, we headed back to see how things were going with the necropsy, and to get a better understanding of what happens at this annual event.
Well, this is I think it's our 12th year we've been doing this at Turtle Lake, here with my buddy Wayne sitting, and we're learning a lot about this deer herd. And we always do these necropsies in February, so we can look at these deer at the most stressful time in their life, and that is in the late winter. It's all automated. We've done this for long. Wayne's got it set up beautifully. The shooters are out there. They bring the deer in. We have a group that from Quality Deer Management that weighs them and pulls the jawbone out and gets the age. Then they bring them here. Wayne and the guys open them up, collect blood samples, pull the organs out. We bring them over here, and we separate out the organs, and there's different things that we look at. We pull the reproductive tract out, and we age the fetuses so we can determine when the rut was and what the rut pattern looked like here. We measure kidney fat. We look for different parasites like liver flukes and abdominal worms, those sorts of things, and calculate the kidney fat index. And by the time they get to the end of this table, we have loads of data taken on the deer, and we know once we get through these necropsies every year, we can tell what's going on with this deer herd this year, what the rut's been like, what their health is, and that's an important part of deer management. Okay, what we're doing now is something that we developed at the Institute several years ago, working with A&M, Jerry Stuth at A&M, this is the rectum of the deer, and what we're doing is we're collecting fecal pellets, and what we will do is send them to the lab, and we will scan them, we'll super dry them, scan them with near-infrared spectroscopy, and we will be able to estimate the digestible protein, the phosphorus, and the digestible energy that this deer has been on in its diet. The necropsy is a critical thing to do, and I realize that not every hunting club or landowner can do them. But what it's told us and what it tells you is how the health of those herds change over time in response to your management. Now, what we've done out here at Turtle Lake is we've increased the nutrition, we've increased the habitat, we've increased the cover. And what we've seen is that we started out with a very protracted breeding season because we can measure those fetuses and determine when they were conceived. And now we've tightened it up to a concise breeding season, which is what God meant for deer to do. Have a tight breeding season. If you have a tight breeding season, you have a tight fawning season. You have a tight fawning season, the predators don't get you. So it's an indicator of health. And of course, the TB situation, the reason I came to work here was not only because of a guy like Wayne Sitton, but because this was the epicenter of the TB zone. And what we've done through management, because you can't eradicate a disease like TB or CWD, but you can manage it. By management, we have reduced the infection rate here significantly on this property. And we could do it all throughout Michigan or any other place through proper management.
Many of you may be wondering how the Turtle Lake Wildlife Foundation is able to do this after season. The answer is simple: disease control permits issued by the DNR, which are available to certain landowners in the TB zone.
What they're doing here at Turtle Lake can be done anywhere up in the TB area. They are shooting deer because they have disease control permits that we give them, and any landowner up, that has 5 acres or more can get these. And it's basically a way for them to help manage their deer herd, particularly take a few more does that out of season. And in the case of bovine tuberculosis, having fewer deer, a lower density of deer is one of the key things to affect the transmission rate.
There's a lot of valuable data collected in this process, and one thing in particular it helps to illustrate is where in the life cycle of a deer any deficiencies may be, which in turn lets you know how to better manage the deer herd.
One of the real interesting things that we find out by doing these necropsies, especially at looking at, and also the follow-up work, we look at the deer herd as a factory. We first of all see we take the ovaries and we see how many potential eggs were produced. Then we count the fetuses. Then in the spring, we start collecting incidental sightings and figure out what the doe-fawn ratio is. And then in the fall, we do it again with incidental sightings and trail cameras. We can figure out how many fawns are still alive. And then the following spring, we do it again with a camera study, and we find out how many of those fawns actually became 1 year of age and were recruited in the herd. That way, we can see our assembly line, and we find out where the deficiencies are. If it's dropping significantly between the egg and the fawns hitting the ground, we know that we've got a nutrition problem with our does, so we know where to target our management. Basically, what we're seeing so far is after 12 years, we now have a very boring deer herd. It's in great shape. We're hardly finding any problems. Conception is very tight this past year. I couldn't ask for it to be better. It's just all the health indices are sky high, so it's a good year.
Although this process is a little gruesome, the research being done here is extremely valuable, not only in Michigan, but throughout the country. Special thanks to Dr. Kroll, Wayne Sitton, and everyone else at Turtle Lake for a very educational day here in northern Michigan.
Thanks for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you check us out online when you get a chance. You can do it a couple of different ways on our website at michiganoutofdoorstv.com or on our Facebook page at Michigan Out of Doors TV. We're usually on Facebook every few days letting you know where we are and where we're headed next, and we have a lot of fun in store for you here this spring. We'll be out on the water doing all sorts of different fishing. I'll take you up to Torch Lake for some Atlantic salmon fishing. We'll be out on a crow hunt. We're going to take part in a slingshot tournament. All sorts of fun springtime stuff headed your way.
Well, we do have a lot of good stuff coming over the next few weeks here in Michigan Out of Doors, and if you are watching this on Thursday night, we're actually taping Big Buck Night West right now at the Ultimate Sports Show in Grand Rapids. Big Buck Night East and Big Buck Night West will be the first 2 weeks in April, so make sure that you are marking your calendars for that. That's always a lot of fun to hear those big deer stories. And then after that, we're right into the spring turkey season. So lots of good stuff happening right now here in the great state of Michigan. And hey, if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by the Michigan chapters of Safari Club International. For over 40 years, SCI has been protecting hunters' rights and promoting wildlife conservation here in Michigan and around the world. SCI chapter locations can be found on the web at firstformichigan.org. By Showspan, producing consumer shows that include the Ultimate Sports Show in Grand Rapids. Over 350 exhibitors, outdoor gear, boats, seminars, Lake Ultimate, and Big Buck Night. The Ultimate Sports Show at the DeVos Place in Grand Rapids. Closed captioning is provided by Marvo Mineral, makers of Lucky Buck. Deer management products including minerals to supplement deer diets year-round to improve health and antler growth.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above.